In this video, we are going to answer this question: how to make your assumptions harden into fact. There's a secret within this question, and I will tell you this right now. I don't want to keep you waiting. And the secret is that those assumptions, right, those realities you assume, this state you assume does exist. And by you fusing with it, by you aligning to it, by you identifying with it, it will harden into fact. It will be pushed out, it will be manifested. But the cool part about this is that this does exist. We simply select things and assume things to be now true, which are already there, and then those assumptions will harden into fact. But again, the relieving part about this is that those assumed states, they all already exist. So the question is, which state are you assuming right now? So in this video, again, we're going to cover the question: how do you make your assumption, the assumption of your desire now being fulfilled, how do you literally make that harden into fact and manifest that? So here's a little intro that I prepared. Because first of all, conscious manifesting always starts with an assumption of things that are currently not manifested yet, that are currently not seen yet. That is the nature of conscious manifesting. That is what we do. Either wittingly or unwittingly, everybody does that. Everybody's constantly dwelling somewhere within, imagining things consciously or unconsciously, assuming certain things to be true, dwelling on like a certain state of being, and then in their circumstances they see more of that in a reality, right? But conscious manifesting starts with an assumption of something that right now isn't there yet. So that's always the premise, right? It's always like that you currently have no proof for your desire. You have no proof that you have doubled your income. You have no proof that you are with your desired partner. You have no proof that you're in your desired relationship. No proof that you're healthy. But we anyways are going to assume that into existence, into manifestation. We're going to let it harden into fact by assuming that which right now is denied by our senses, right? We're assuming that which right now there's no reason for our mind to believe that. And again, your mind won't believe that your desire, that X is possible, because it has no reason to believe it. There is no evidence. The mind is tied to the senses. It takes its evidence based on what is. And we are always trained to look at what is, and look at what is, and be realistic, and stay with the facts, right? But therefore, if let's just say you've never made more than $2,000 per month, and you say you really want more financial resources, you really want to experience more financial abundance in your life, your mind for now has no reason to believe that you make 10K a month, for example, if that's like a desire of yours to go in that region. So your mind won't believe that this is possible. It never experienced that, and maybe never in your life you experienced that. So no one around you maybe experienced that. So how can your mind just believe it? Right? It has no reason to believe it. There is no evidence. But anyways, what we are doing, and I will teach you how to do it in this video, is we are going to assume something that is right now a false assumption, right? By assuming the desire as fulfilled, although it is right now denied by the senses, although right now our circumstances don't show us any evidence that, yep, you have it, yep, you got it, yep, you're going in the right direction. By us assuming that, this new internal state will become natural, and therefore it will be externalized, because what we hold to be true in our inner reality is also reflected in the screen of space, right? It's also, we see that through people, in our circumstances, in our environment. We see what we claim to be true for ourselves, in which state we are, where we shift our awareness to. So that's just a little intro for you to understand that, first of all, assuming unseen things is natural, right? That is the purpose of conscious manifestation. That is what we teach here, right? To bring things that are not seen yet, to make things tangible that are not tangible yet in the 3D. How do we make them tangible? How do we let them harden into fact? By assuming them, although they're false. And here's some quotes about this that I want to share. So assume you are already that which you seek, and your assumption, though false, right? Though the world around you denies it, though your own mind denies it, if you sustain that assumption, will harden into fact. This mental journey into the desired state, with its subsequent feeling of reality, is all that is necessary to bring about its fulfillment, right? So the journey, the inner shift into the desired state. We assuming it, although there is no proof for it yet. But the fact alone that you can assume it, the fact alone that you can dwell on the wish fulfilled of your desire, means that also the wish fulfillment exists. So let's just say you desire a relationship. The fact alone that you can desire it means it is a state that is in existence. How could you otherwise desire for something that is not there yet, that isn't created yet? So every desire also equals the wish fulfillment. Whatever you can desire, you can imagine as done. That is the beauty of it, right? Desiring a state means that this state is in existence. Like Neville said, desiring a state means having a state. So whenever you get a new desire, you can imagine that it is done. You can hear congratulations, you can experience it as done, you can visualize it as done, you can put yourself in the mood of what it would be like if it would be done. You can give thanks to your higher self for having already done it for you. This state does exist, right? And by assuming it into being, right, by dwelling in it, it will manifest. So whatever the phrase is, let it imply that the assumption is true, that it is correct, that it is already a fact, and you know it. You don't have to stick with what you know, right? That is a very important reminder. You don't have to stick with what you know already to be true for you. So let's just say you have had a certain condition for a while. You had been lonely for a while. You had been struggling with finances for a while. Don't stick with what you know, what your mind right now tries to convince you of. No, we can assume new things when we desire them, right? When you have this motor element of a desire, you can assume things where your mind right now has no proof for. Your world right now does not give you any evidence. So when you pray, do not go down on your knees and pray to any unknown God. Instead, go to bed and dare to assume you are now who you want to be. And I highlighted this part because I think Neville wanted to tell us something about that, right? He didn't say, go to bed and assume you are who you want to be. You have to dare to assume. You literally have to dare to assume. You have to be bold enough. You have to imitate God. You have to dare to assume that you are now who you want to be. And I think that is a big, let's just say, a revelation. At least it was for me when I listened to this again and again. And Neville said, you have to dare. Sometimes we're playing small, right? We're not even daring to assume. We say, anyways, I will be fine. Others are also not doing that good. I mean, at least I'm doing better than those. Or that's self-denial, that's self-torture. Listen to what your desires are. What is right now your greatest desire? Who do you want to be? In which state do you want to be? Which qualities are relevant for you? And then dare to assume that you now have that alive. And if it's, let's just say, if it doesn't stick by you simply doing that with words, with this self-questioning, imagine a scene, experience a scene that implies it, right? That implies that you are now who you want to be. And then you persist in that mental image till it becomes an accepted fact for you. Fall asleep assuming it is true, and you will be on the road to success, for this is how things are brought into being. Dare to assume that you have your desire. You may feel you do not have the wisdom to find the means to get it. Right? A big thing going on for people, especially very rational-based people. They think, hey, but I don't see any way that I can get this. I don't see any possible bridge. I don't see any possible unfolding that I can end up with this goal. So, right? And this is natural that you think, hey, I really can't understand how this will happen. I really can't see a way. That is okay. But you can now still shift to the end state and let the way come from the end state. The end state is the provider. The end state will carry you, so to speak, over this invisible bridge. Right? So if it takes 1,000 or 10,000 people to play their parts to bring you into the embodiment of what you have assumed you are, they will play their parts, knowingly or unknowingly. Super interesting. I've noticed that multiple times, maybe not with 10,000 people so far, because I didn't have a desire that would need to include 10,000 of people, but I did observe that when I shift into an end state, even without me sometimes doing things, if people are required to come in my world, this person, so that my inner state that I gave myself within, that I occupied within, so that this can express, whoever is in a sense needed for that to play their part, they will enter your life. They will enter your awareness. You don't have to be concerned as to who is going to aid you. Simply dare to assume you are what you want to be, and you will compel everyone to play their part to bring about your assumption. That is life. Walk as though it were true. To the best of your ability, believe that it is true. And that assumption, right? We're still talking about assuming something that you have never manifested it before. You have no proof of that in your life. No one maybe in your family has done it, but you desire that right now. So that assumption, which is denied by your senses, right? The world would say it is false, right? Everybody around you doesn't see it yet, but you can still subjectively, this is happening inside of you, inside of your inner world, inside of your imagination, inside of your awareness, right? You can persist in that unseen assumption. You can persist in that unseen state, and therefore it will harden into fact. This is the law of your own wonderful imagination. Believe it, and it will become a reality, right? So, here's some explanations for me, and then we will conclude this video. To change anything in your life, you have to change your state of consciousness. I'm sure by now, if you watch some of my videos, if you engage in Neville's teachings, that is clear. We have understood that our world is basically the contents of our consciousness. Whatever we are identified with, whatever we believe to be true, whatever we shift into, that's basically expressing in our life constantly, right? And therefore, your life, as it is right now, is not a good measurement of who you are. Because you decide who you are, and then your life reflects that. So don't take your cue from who you are and what's true for you based on how your life right now is. No, your life is as it is. That's the constant mirror, the constant reflection, the constant externalization. And now you say, wait, I no longer like this. Maybe I'm dissatisfied. Maybe I feel limited. Maybe I feel contracted. I feel there's more possible. I live underneath my potential. And no matter which life era it is, I have a desire. I feel triggered. So don't measure who you are based on what is. No, we decide something new. We assume something new to be true for us, and then that's going to be reflected. Furthermore, everything that you experience is a result of your changing the contents of your consciousness, like I just said. We assume that state of consciousness which would be ours if we had already attained our goal. This is the only thing that will bring about your aim. Please listen to that again. Okay? Listen closely. We assume that state of consciousness which would be ours if we had already attained the goal. AKA, what would imply that your goal is manifested? Which scene would you experience? What external experience would you make? That would imply to you that if that happens, yep, that means my goal is already a manifested fact in my world. Right? And by us imagining that, we assume that state. We assume that level where we already have our goal, where we already who we want to be. And this is the only thing that will bring about your aim. It's not about what you do on the outside. It's about that inner movement, placing yourself within in the wish fulfilled, giving yourself within that end state. And then that new end state that you have alive inside of you, that's in a sense aiding you. That will lead you, that will give you the right impulses, right? That will be expressed through you. It's not that life happens to you. No, life happens through you, from within to without. Forcing action is irrelevant, since action itself is a symbol of your state. Right, so forcing actions and trying to get it, trying to obtain it, trying to ask yourself, hey, what out there can I do more to get it? It's fruitless because you can't outperform a state. You can't outwork your self-concept. You'll always come back to that inner, set point. Your shift in consciousness is the only thing that matters. Right, so we have to shift within. We have to realign ourselves within to that version of ourselves that already experiences our fulfilled goal. Right? And if you'd like to do this, if you'd like help with this, let me put my image here in the center. So if you'd like help with this, right, you say, hey, right now there's something that you're dissatisfied with in your current reality. If that is in finances, if that is in relationships, if that is in health, if that is in relationships to just other people, in friendships, in your lifestyle. And you right now say, you feel stuck in your current reality. There is something you'd like to change. You have a desire for growth, right? And you say, hey, I want this. I have a relationship that I want. I have more money that I want. I want more business success. Or I want to be a successful business owner. I want to follow my purpose and do what I love. I want to live in freedom. Or I want to be more healthy. I could be standing here for 1 hour listing potential desires. These are just 3 examples, but there's so many unique desires. But no matter what you want, that is an existing state. And our job right now is to assume that we are now in it. And like I said, if you need help with that, if you want to learn how to do that shift, that is exactly what I teach inside my program, and also everything that comes with it, all the potential pitfalls, all the mistakes, everything that leads to us falling back into the old state. So if you want to learn that, how to do that shift so that your desired circumstances can express, because they can only show up in your world. They will only be there once first you already made them alive inside of you and staying in this state and not wavering, basically. I've worked with hundreds of people. We have basically, I don't want to say perfectionated that process because there's nothing here is perfect, but we have a step-by-step system. I've done this over years. I've done this myself. If you need help in your manifestation journey, you want to learn deeper aspects of the law of assumption. You want to be surrounded by like-minded people who have done this, who are currently doing it, who are in the same journey as you are. You want to have access to me, weekly coaching calls, and simply be part of Upgrade Your Life. Then you can check out my program. That is linked in the description. If you have feedback, questions, you need help, let me know. But this video was very important for me to help you understand that whatever you assume right now, first of all, you will not have any reason to believe it. And that is okay. Don't get mad at yourself. Don't be worried if right now you can't believe it. Don't stop because of that. The fact that right now you can't believe it, it's not required that first you believe in your wish fulfilled and then you can start to manifest it. No. By you starting to assume that state, it will become more believable. You will gain more faith by you shifting in it and identifying with it more and more and more. Right? By you shifting into that unseen assumption more and more and more, then also the belief will come from that. So don't get stuck because of your mind and start to practice assuming unseen things that your mind has no reason for to believe right now. I guarantee you when you do that, when you practice that, you will see evidence of that. Right? So just yesterday when we had a weekly coffee chat community call, one of our members, she said that she spoke to her son and she didn't like the conversation, she didn't like the vibe, she didn't like the flow, and she simply saw her preference. Like while she was in the conversation with her son, she imaginatively in her mind's eye, she heard a completely different conversation. She heard something completely different, right? She assumed the unseen basically and dwelt there. And minutes later, the topic, the environment, the vibe, her son's like topics of the conversation completely changed to exactly what she imagined, right? That is just like a brief example that she assumed something that her mind had no reason to believe because her mind now was in the external conversation with the son, but in the unseen reality, she assumed that to be true by being there, and then that expressed, then that hardened into fact. So that's it for this video. I speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.